Hey, welcome back to the shop. And we're in frame here. What I'm going to do is I'm going to focus you in on a couple levels. What I'm trying to do is for my work, carry 8-foot levels around. And the 8-foot level is great for obviously leveling surfaces that I'm working on. I'm doing a couple right now, a very monster large deck. Use the 8-footer for that. We're also putting together the sawmill, so we're using the 8-foot level to true up the sawmill deck before we tighten it all down. It's Norwood HD36. And I was missing a couple of parts, so those parts just showed up yesterday, and we're going to finish that sawmill deck tomorrow. And one of the problems that I have is that my 8-foot level, my everyday user that sits in the back of the truck, is bent, slightly bent. Still reads level, and I'm going to show you that in a second, but I'm going to take you through the process of what I'm going to try to do here. So I bought a brand new one right here on top, and then my everyday users underneath. See what you're looking at. So this is in frame, and I'll show you that they still read level, which is the interesting part. But the one underneath, my everyday user, I ended up getting it on sale. It was marked down. And the plain simple fact of the matter is that I don't know that this wasn't bent from the beginning. I had been on a timber frame job, and I was using it as a straight edge on some plywood, and I noticed some discrepancies in my lines, measurement wise. And it's not very bent, but it is bent. You can see it when you look down it. Now this one appears to be, when I picked it out, appears to be perfectly straight. What I'm going to do is I'm going to show you that they both read level. So as an 8-foot level, it's still completely functional, but as a straight edge, the one on the bottom is not a straight edge anymore. It's slightly bowed. And I'm going to try to take that bow out of it. So that's what I wanted to bring you along for here, is to see if I can take the bow out of it. What I'm going to do is I'm going to take some measurements at how far out it is, based on the assumption that this is straight. And we start to get into a whole bunch of straight theories here of not only flattening theory, but what straight is. Now, I can tell you that for my purposes in woodworking and so on and so forth, that this is, way straight enough. But when you can see the bow in the bottom one, that's not, really isn't. I use levels. I just grab one out of my dowel bin back here. I use levels as straight edges, and this particular one right here is not, the level bubble doesn't read terrifically accurate anymore. Now, just looking through here, it's interesting. I don't know how straight this one is anymore. This is a pretty old level. You can see a lot with your eyes, and it does appear that there might be a teeny bow in this one. There's all kinds of crap on this too, glues and dirt and things like that. But just looking at it on the top here, I'm perfectly flat over here, and there's a dip, and I can see a gap through here. Let's see how measurable it is. And we're going to start delving into some straightness theory. This is 20 thousandths. I don't think we'll go through there now. Let's go backwards. Let's try 10. Nope, It's less than 10 thousandths. Let's try 8. Just the gap that I can see. So I can fit, I mean, you guys can see that, I can fit 8 thousandths through there right now. Over to, let's see how far it goes without lifting the level. Starts to get tight kind of here. It's a pretty small area where 8 thousandths fits. 8 thousandths is a lot. Let's go down a little bit more to, that's 2.5, that's 5. Let's see how far 5 thousandths will go through it. Starting to get a little, so it gets tight here. Starts to get a little tight here. So, you know, we start to get into theory of which one of these is straight. Is the middle one straight or is the top one straight? That is a good question. Now, could I pull out another level? Now, it appears that as I look down this, and you guys can see down towards me, it appears that I can see a bow in this one. So we're going to have to go on the assumption that this is straight and that this straight is good enough. And that we're going to use this to check this. And one way I could check it is I can check what my eyeballing through here. It appears that my biggest gap is somewhere around here. So what I can do is I can measure that gap and use that other level and put it on top and see if the gap's bigger. And if the gap's bigger, then it's that one that's bent. So let's do that. This is going to be a weird video, and I apologize, but I think it's interesting stuff. So let's see if 8 thousandths will go through there. It's very tight. It's about 8 thousandths. Let's see if I can get 9 or 10 through there. 9 does not go through. I'm going to recheck 8. It's 35, 5, 8. Let's see, 8 again. So 8 thousandths does go through right here. Now this would seem to contradict what I just saw. All right, so if this level was bowed like that, then the bottom level would have to be bowed a mile. So I'm going to guess that, and I'm going to mark where that is too. I can feel where it gets tight. It's about, you can't see this, but I'm just going to put a little 8 there. 0.008. So right around here, it's 8 thousandths. So if I take this off and I put this one back on, and I know that that bow is somewhere in the middle. Oh my God, yeah, it's a mile. Yeah, so this one's bent too. Both of these are bent. I mean, I could probably get 20 thousandths through there now. That was a good way of checking which one's really bent. So here's 23 thou. Let's see if that goes through. 23 thou right there in that high spot, low spot. 23 thousandths, it's not really moving it. No problem. So this level and this level are both bent. And we're going to assume, like I said, that was a way to figure out which one's bent, that this one's straight. So we know that this one's about 8 thousandths out, somewhere right in here. We're going to check, try and find out exactly how much. Let's see how much we can get through there. If I just did that with 9, just eyeballing through, I can see the gap goes from about here to about here, right in here. So kind of where the bubble is where it is bent, which would make sense. And let's see if any place I can get 9,000s through. Now I know that we're starting to get into one of those situations where here's 10,000s. We'll see if I can get 10,000s in anywhere. This is obviously not very much. Nope, 10,000s does not go in. Let's go to 9. This is more about procedure than anything else. And obviously a good way to just check one straight edge against another to see if which one's straight and which one isn't. I cannot get 9,000s through there. And we'll just double check 8. This is just checking ourselves against ourselves. Just to let you know, that's 8,000s feeler gauge. It's clean. Yeah, I can fit it through right here. It starts to drag there. So I've got my spot. Just kind of the center of 8,000s. So now the question is, how do we unbend it? Okay, so we're going to just go with the assumption to put this down somewhere where I'm not going to kick it or kill it. We're going to go with the assumption. There you go. Right there. I'm going to turn it into an unstraight edge in a second. Let me just make sure you're looking at the bench here. And you are. Now my bench is fairly flat. So you would assume that we'll do a couple checks. If I twist this right now, it should pivot right here. So if I just come out here and I go like this, and I pivot it, it's pivoting about right here, right where the 8,000s is. This level is bowed like this. Now my bench is obviously not perfectly flat, but it's reasonably flat. It was flattened, I don't know, maybe a year and a half ago or so, but it's reasonably flat. Now if I flip it over, watch this. You can see the line where the 8,000s is. Now if I try to pivot it, it's going to probably pivot somewhere in here, somewhere a third of the way from, should be around my finger here, or a third of the way over here from where it's hitting. And that would mean that it's hitting on the ends. Should be actually less than a third. So it should pivot over here somewhere. Less than a third. If it was perfectly flat, it would pivot at a third. A third and a third of the bench. So somewhere in here. If it's not flat this way, it's going to pivot closer to the end. So I'm going to guess over here or over here. You probably can't see my right finger, but so let's try it. Yeah, so this is pivoting way out here. Let me see if you can see that. I'm not sure if you can. You can kind of, all right, I'm going to show you this again. So now you can see it. So it should pivot. If it's perfectly flat, it will pivot a third of the way in, so somewhere in here. If it's bowed like this, it's going to pivot closer to the end. This is a way to check flatness. And then obviously if it was bent in the middle like this, it would pivot on the middle. And we're talking about very slight things. And this, guys, this is super, super accurate. We're talking about very, very slight measurements, but this is a way to check flatness. So as I try to pivot it on my bench right now, it's pivoting here. That's my fulcrum point. So that's telling me that this level's like this. And if I pivot from the other side, I'm going to show you, I'm going to do the other way just to prove it to you. We'll go this way with it here. If it was perfectly flat, it would pivot around right here. If it's bent like this, it's going to pivot out here. And that, of course, I'm going to prove to you that my bench is flat in a second, but what? I'm going to try to pivot from the other end, and I'll put my finger where the pivot point is. All right, it's pivoting way out here, right here. It's pivoting right there. So that's telling me that this is bowed an unknown amount. Let's just call it 8/1000ths because that's what it is. Like this. And I'm going to prove to you that if you say, well, it's the bench could be the common denominator. Well, let's do this. We're going to flip it over. And now I'm going to pivot it again. If it's bent like that, if it's flat, it's going to pivot here and here. If it's bent this way, it's going to pivot where it did. And if it's bent this way, it will pivot wherever the bend is. And I know that the bend is right here. So this should pivot. I'll put that here based on my little mark right here. It's about the center of the 8/1000ths mark. This should pivot right here if it's bent like this and my bench is flat. So let's try that. We'll do it from both ends. It's pivoting right around right here. I'll do it from the other side. And it's pivoting right here. So this level, right now, we've done the test on it. And matter of fact, we'll take it a step further. Let's test the other one. Okay? So here, I'm going to flip you up and show you that the thing still reads level. I'll get you in close, but I'm going to move this over like this. And let's put the other level on here and see what this one does. So we're going to test the other one. So we're going to put it down. My bench is not perfectly clean, but it's fairly clean. And we're going to go ahead and... All right, so this is interesting. This is pivoting right here. It's towards that way of center, right in here. My guess is that if it was perfect, it would pivot, I don't know, somewhere maybe another 2 inches that way. But it is pivoting towards the third of this side. We'll do it the other way, and it should be pivoting this side of center. If it was perfect, it's going to pivot here. If my bench was perfectly flat and this was perfectly flat, it would pivot here. We know that one of those two things is not true. Now, we know that the bench is close to flat. I'm going to guess that this is flatter. Well, we're going to pivot it again and see. All right, so it's pivoting right here. Now, I'm getting pivot points here and here. They should be, in a perfect world, bench is flat, this is flat, it should pivot here, but it's pivoting here. It's telling me that I've got maybe a high spot in the bench here, but we're going to flip it over and we're going to do exactly the same thing. If this is flat, we should get basically the same results if this is flat and this is not. So we'll do it this way first. All right, so it's pivoting right here, same exact spot. And then we're going to do the same thing the other way. It's pivoting right here. Same, actually a little closer to the third, but pretty much the same exact spot. You can even see the marks that it's leaving on it in those two spots. So what I just learned is that this is flat. My bench is really close to flat. This is not bowed either way because it pivoted in the same area both ways. So I can use this as a reference surface for this level. Now let's take a look at the bubbles. Now let me just make sure that I don't have anything on here that's going to affect the level. But we're going to put this thing, we're going to stick them right next to each other. And then I'm going to bring you over. Make sure they're not sitting on each other. I'm going to climb over. Actually, I wonder if I can slide it this way just a little bit. I'm going to slide you over and get you a view down on those bubbles to show you that they're both reading level. So as far as levels goes, they're both level. I'm going to, you know what, let me take you out of here just so that I can get you in close. Both of these are reading identical. And the way that we check that, I'm going to put you back in. And this is important if you use levels a lot, to check your levels to make sure that they're reading right. The way you check that is you flip them end for end, which I'm going to do right in front of you. See if they're reading the same. If they are not level, the bubble will move the opposite direction, double the error. So we're going to flip them around without banging into everything and destroying them. Because if you drop them, in theory, they're not really levels anymore, but I can tell you that this one's been through the ringer. Make sure they're not sitting on each other. They're just kind of sitting next to each other, very close. And I'll show you the bubbles again. And if you remember right, they were both touching the left-hand line. Both of them are touching the left-hand line. So both of these levels read level perfectly. Not just close. We're not talking about 4-footers here. We're not talking about 3-footers. We're not talking about spirit levels. We are talking about 8-foot levels here. Okay, these are 96-inch. I don't know if you can see that right there. These are 96-inch levels. Both of them are reading identical. So level-wise, my bent level reads level. But I want to take the bend out of it. So I'm going to get you up like this. And I'm going to go about my process of trying to straighten this level that I've already proved is bent. I've already proved the other one is straight. Whether you want to believe that or not is up to you. But I understand the process. So the question is, how can I bend in a controlled fashion something that's this big? This is a better level than the new one I got. The new one I got, if you notice on it, it's missing something that's important. It's missing these words right here. Lifetime accuracy warranty. True Blue vials guaranteed accurate to 0.0005, 5/10,000ths of an inch in 10 working positions. It's 6061 T5 precision milled. This is a better level bent than the one I bought. To check it. Lifetime warranty? No lifetime warranty. Precision to 5/10,000ths. This is a good level here. Okay, and I'll come around so you can see that. I don't want to be talking out of my ass here. So hopefully it'll, let's see here. You can see lifetime warranty. You can see accurate to 5/10,000ths. in 10 working positions, and you can see my mark on there where we are 8 thousandths out. You can see that it's 6065 T5 precision milled, which means nothing to me if it's not straight. It is a level, it's still reading level, but it's not straight, so I can't use it as a straight edge. So what I'm going to try to do here, probably get you up like that, maybe you'll catch a view of my face every now and then, is that I'm going to try to bend this in a controlled manner. Can I get, yeah, reach is good. I don't know, I might have to pull my bench that way, because what I'm going to try to do is on this vise, get a pin here and here. I want to put a pin here and then one here and here, and crank on this vise and try to get this to bend, and also set up something to measure that bend. So I'm going to actually pull my bench over a little bit. Sorry, it's going to make some noise. And let's see if we fit now. Yeah, don't hit the lathe. So we're going to try to do it in here like this. I've got to spread the other vise out so that I can sit down inside it. When you want to do tool smithing, you need to use these things. Now, I'm just going to show you this here. I have measuring equipment, surface gauges, I've got dial indicators, I've got test indicators, I have everything there is to have. So when you're smithing stuff like this, you need to have things that to measure with. You can go willy-nilly about this, and I mean, you could just set this thing up and beat it with a hammer. But I'm going to try and do it in a controlled fashion. Not exactly sure how yet. I think my first impression is that I'm going to use a couple of drill bits. And I have to push on one spot right here. A drill bit to push on that one spot. Something that's reasonably. Now what I'm wondering is if when I do this, if it's going to crush the metal. And if it is, I'm going to have to come up with another solution. So we're going to try that first. And I'm just going to apologize. It's going to take me a second. I want to get centered in the vise. This is going to be pushing in. And I need to get this out enough to be able to fit my, I can tell you one thing, it's not level my floor. That drill bit just rolled away like a jackrabbit. I'm trying, I have to have enough room to get these in here. Could probably maybe get a block into this. We need to be a block that's tall but not wide. Something, apologize, I mean, you got, this is the stuff you got to go through, guys. So I'll just grab a bunch of these teak dowels right here, just so I don't have to hold on to it. Try to get these set up to kind of the right height so that this sits a little bit above. It's pretty close. Gonna get that out a little more. All right, so want this centered here. This is going to be hard to do. I'm going to put this in here. That would go right through that opening right want to get this way out here. Better if I had a complete surface under here. Set these on. Classic. Let me get a clamp. I gotta get the balance point back this way a little bit. Get a couple clamps so that I can kind of clamp the drill bits in place. You know, maybe, is this wider than this? Yeah, it is. That wouldn't work. Or maybe it would work. Maybe this would work. Take these out. Because with the drill bits in, this appears to be wide enough. Let's try that. That would give me a place to drop the drill bits on. That might work better. All right, so go with the bigger one here. I want the pressure pushing here. It's not balancing because it's, the bend is to the side of if I go there, it doesn't have the backing plate. It's just going to bend the wood. I need to have these in where the backing plate for the vise is. It's pretty damn close right there. So now the only problem is that I don't have a way to measure what I'm doing right now. Let me see if I can set up a test indicator. And then when I get the whole setup done here, it's a good way to, so you guys can see the process. When I get the whole setup here, I will bring you in close and put your view right straight down on the top of it. And get it so that you can see it. So I need the test indicator like that. Let me see if I can use this. Where is the secondary arm? Actually, let's see if I can get this thing set up right here. This is a mag base, and I can't really use that right now. What I need is the test indicator set like this. Can get this out. This, all right, that in. So let's get this flipped upside down. Don't need that like that. There we go. That's a good direction. Tighten this down. this set down inside there, and then I'll see if I can throw a clamp on this base. I want to get that right in the center right there. Okay, and now if I can get a clamp on this, we should be able to go ahead and just zero this out. And we should be able to measure the bend and the reflection of this whole unit. I want that right there. See if I can get this thing. Oh, it's so close. Need a bigger clamp? Yeah. Oh, wait a second. Maybe I can get some more travel out of this. This is what you got to go through, but we're going to try to see if we can do this right here. So I'm looking for 8/1000ths. This is, I have to get my glasses on, but I think this is a 10/1000ths indicator. Oh, good. And let's just push on this. Make sure I have okay, so I have travel there. That's 0. Let me just get my glasses on. I'll get you guys in here. It's probably about as close as I can get. I'll get you down a little bit so you can see the indicator. Let's see if this is going to work. Okay, you can see the indicator. I just want to double check that indicator where it's 10/1000ths or 1/2 So we know that we want this to move 8/1000ths. And that indicator is a 1/2,000th. So each line, make sure we're 0. Very touchy because it's not much movement. So on this, we want to move basically 16/1000ths, 16/2,000ths. Each line is a 1/2 So that's actually, that's 1, 2, 3, 4, that's 5/1000ths. All right, so the numbers are reading, hopefully you can see those. The numbers are reading thousands, but the lines are 1/2,000. So we have to crank it over. In a perfect world, when we let off the tension, this is going to end up 6 lines past that 5. So let's see how, if it does move, that deflected a 1/2,000th right there. 2/1000ths. So right now, it's deflecting 3/1000ths right now. Now I'm going to undo the tension, because what it looks like to me is that either I can't put enough pressure on it, or this is too small a space to bend that. So I'm going to try to move those out. Those are going to deflect this wood though. Let's see if we bent it at all. It stayed there. So far it's moved 2/1000ths. Let's try to crank it up some more. We've taken almost 2.5/1000ths out of the 8 right now. And that, of course, is based on the fact that, or the assumption that this metal didn't crush and that this whole level hasn't crushed into that far. So let's try to do it again. Doesn't seem to be bending anymore. Make sure I have travel on the, oh, the spindle's bottomed out. That's not good. Okay, so we want to take some out of the spindle. The spindle had bottomed out. I have no more travel in it. Let's take some out of. Hopefully I didn't damage my indicator. Okay, that's none. I have to get that down. Okay, it's reading 5. Just going to zero it on the dial. Got some flex in this somewhere. It's moving. Moving again. Sorry. Okay, it is pushing on it. I am at 0 right now. Let's try to tighten it up again. See how far it goes. Yeah, the whole thing had bottomed out. Now it is moving. It's bent about 5. Went as high as 8, about 5.5 thousandths. About 6. Take some of the tension out of it. I'm showing about an additional 1. See where I'm losing rigidity here. So my biggest lack of rigidity is in this. Okay, I'm just going to use that 10 as an indicator. Seem pretty rigid now. That's 2. That's 5. See if it stays there. Nope. It's pretty much back to where it was. So I'm going to try and spread these out. See if we can increase, you know, this is a small place to bend it, which I didn't know if it was going to work there or not. And if this won't work, then I'll have to try to come up with something else. The thing about this is that this is going to bend the wood outside here. Looks to be about 3/4. Wonder if I have just a couple of pieces of 3/4 here that I could slip in behind it. I do. Nope, that doesn't fit. Okay, so it's not quite 3/4. A couple of pieces of half here. That does fit. That stays there. So this should stop it from bending. Let's make sure I get some travel. I don't have enough travel. Let's see how much travel we have now. Okay, now we have tons. Why is it not? We have tons of travel. I'm sorry. Let's load this a little more the other way. Okay, so we have tons of travel. Getting way more deflection now. It's 1,000. 2,000s. Three. Let's try it again. Loading this up pretty good. Seems to not be moving anymore. Most of the deflection that we're seeing is just from this wood. So let's do this. Let's take it out of here and let's see if we've done anything yet. If not, I'm going to have to come up with a different bending method. Let's see if we can get 8/1000s. Things are going to be in the way. Let's see if we can get 8/1000s in between the levels anymore. See if it's changed any. If not, I'm going to have to spread this out way further and try to bend it from further away. That is going to require something different altogether. That was bound to happen, wasn't it? Let's see. First of all, let's check the level really quick and make sure we didn't fuck up the bubble. They look like they're reading the same. So this end of my bench is perfectly level. Now let's check and see if we can get 8/1000ths in there. I can still see light through there. Hopefully you guys are still focused in on this. And let's see if 8/1000ths, if I've done absolutely anything. Because if not, I'm going to have to come up with a whole different bending solution. And waste an entire video of doing nothing. All right, so here's 8. Yeah, I can still get 8 in there. Yep, so I have done nothing. Nine should not go in. Okay, so I so far have done nothing to bend that. See if we can see where those, I'm not seeing any real lines on it where the things were. Let me get you back where you were while I come up with a new plan. An hour long. An hour long. Okay, I'm going to kill this and I'm going to end up going to a part 2 because this is too long. So this will be part 1. I'll go to part 2.